Okay then, let's get started. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on this evening. It's really exciting to be able to share my journey. And I'm a software engineer at Hark, which is a startup based in Leeds, but I haven't always worked in software engineering. So it's actually quite interesting to reflect and also hopefully inspire other people to potentially make that move in the future. So I'm just going to move on to the next bit. So here is my timeline. And as you can see, there's a mixture of things there. And I'm going to wind back a bit to 2015. So I graduated with a degree in music from Durham. Piano was my life, basically. I really enjoyed music. It made so much sense to go and study that. And when I finished, I wanted to find a graduate scheme in the project management arena, mainly because I had skills in teamwork, also working on my own, and just general organisation. So I really enjoyed that role. But the interesting thing for me was that it was all project based, but within the digital space. So I hadn't really done much of that before, but I was working alongside teams who were doing coding, and I would go over and ask them, "What are you doing? What is that?" And they'd say, "Oh, this is JavaScript, this is C sharp." And I was like, "Oh, I've never heard of that before. I wasn't taught it at school. What a shame." And over time, my interest grew. Anyway, I moved on to another role at Heineken, and that was more specialized in the online space, websites. And it was really fascinating to learn about how algorithms can really determine how much revenue you can make. Those algorithms and just things that you can tap into to get more buy-in from users. So the online experience was becoming a lot more important to me. Anyway, the year after, I decided to go traveling. So I had a bit of a gap year. And towards the end of that, I knew my time was coming up and I had to go back, but I didn't really want to go back to the general project management sphere. I wanted to do the very specific task of building the software that I'd seen other people do. I think it might have actually stemmed from jealousy, which sounds a bit weird. So then I went to North Coders, and that was a 3 month intensive boot camp. And I learned full stack, which is both back end and front end systems. And I was really lucky because after I graduated from there, I had multiple interviews and I was able to pick the place that I wanted to work at, which is Hark. So Hark are a business that are in the IoT space. So IoT is Internet of Things. So essentially, we connect sensors to hardware and we collect data out of those things. So think like fridges, so temperature, humidity, vibration, all kinds of things. And this can be applied to many industries. That data is streamed up to the cloud and then presented on a platform. And the platform is what I help to build. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm coding new features, whether that be a search bar or some new buttons or something like that. So I personally find that really interesting. And I'm also going to explain a little bit more about life at Hark, just to emphasize how much I like working in the technology area. So this is the building that I normally work in, obviously not at the moment. Here are some of the humans that I work with. And here are some of the dogs that I work with. They're very fun and they certainly do help me to get through the day coding. So that's really fun. So then I just want to move on to some of the key reasons that I really like working in the technology sector and also why I think you will. So one of the things that I seem to have understood from all of my friends and also from my own company is that a lot of places allow flexible working. And flexible working means that you can, well, it's up to you when you get your work done. So for example, 8 till 4, that represents someone from my team who picks up his children after school, obviously normally not in COVID. 9 to 5, that's me, pretty bog standard. And then 10 to 6 could represent someone who just has some morning engagements, so not able to start. We do have core business hours, that's 10 till 4, so that's when we do our stand-ups and some of the other ceremonies, which Metis covers on the course actually. Then the second thing is learning every day. So there's always new releases, new tools and frameworks. So you're never bored. And then making cool things. So I do this both inside work and outside work. So out of work, I love to delve into things like augmented reality, just making silly apps for my friends. But please bear in mind as well, I literally couldn't code a year and a half ago. So all of this has just happened recently. And I'm here to prove that if I can do it, you can too. So the tech community is a really important aspect as well. I think that I've relied quite heavily on some tech groups to inform me of new opportunities, and I've actually gained a new position voluntary, which is with AI Tech North. So I'm really helping to pioneer that and also to get more women into tech. One of the other things I really love is the fact that you can own your development. There's so many different routes that you can take in tech. You might have heard of DevOps, cloud computing, all that kind of stuff. And really, like, you can choose whatever. It's just sometimes knowing where to get started can sometimes be the problem. And then finally, making a difference. So I know that in my work, the code that I'm producing is helping to solve human and environmental problems. And by that, I mean we're helping to save energy, and in doing that, we're actually saving companies a lot of money. So that's really satisfying to know. Oh, so here is my team on a social, a couple of different socials, escape games, paintballing, and the like. This is also another good perk of working in tech. There's a lot of fun. And some of the community activities. So you'll have heard of things like hackathons. There's a couple of communities around Leeds as well that I like to be involved with, Leeds Digital Drinks, Tech Show North, and we actually held our own energy innovation summit recently. So some of the challenges then, I briefly touched on this before. There's so much that you could learn. There's so many different areas, and sometimes it's really difficult to know where to start. I think one of the reasons why I chose to retrain with an actual provider was because although there's so many free courses online, sometimes it's tricky to know exactly where to start. And I think that's actually a touching point on why Metis is so good, because it does actually really help you with that initial leap into the tech sector. The second point is gender balance. So I'm actually the only female engineer in my team. Luckily, not in the whole company, but I think wouldn't it be nice to actually achieve that 50-50 split, which we are trying to get in the industry? So that's something I really try to pioneer as well. And I do that through a lot of the different communities I spoke of earlier. And then also security. So you'll have heard of lots of breaches recently. You'll have had emails saying that, databases being leaked, all that kind of stuff. And I think that does actually go hand in hand with testing. So again, Metis covers that. So the challenges can actually be resolved. So here's some of the tech that I use on a day-to-day basis. On the left, it's all the development stuff. So JavaScript and C# are my main go-tos. Then some tools in the middle, and they might sound a bit alien, Azure and Teams, but these are all part of the way that we work and how we delegate work to each other. And it's actually really important. We're all heavily dependent on using these tools. And then on the right, you might see some testing libraries there, but they actually sound like coffees. But these are all essential parts of my work that enable me to make sure that the things that the users are typing in align with what I want them to type in. So I'll just move on to the next thing. Just something that I spoke of earlier, women in tech. If you are a graduate and you're a bit intimidated by the thought of going into tech or whatever, please reach out to me, because I would love to chat to you, talk through my experiences. And they've actually been largely positive. I've got a really nice team. They're very respectful of me, and they really support me in doing a lot of this outreach work as well. So yes, please do get in touch. Now I'd like to speak about something that I achieved very recently, which is my Metis certificate. So this was back in April as part of Leeds Digital Festival. I took part in the training, and a lot of people were like, "Well, you don't need to do this. You're already a software engineer." But what's really interesting is it's never a bad thing to consolidate your knowledge and also learn other things that you may not have learned like the first time around necessarily, or maybe not have a true academic understanding of. So for me, the course was I actually learned so many new things and consolidated the things that I thought I already knew. So that was really useful. And just to delve into that a little bit more, I've picked out 4 key highlights from my experience. So the first one is the IT support. So you do a bit of role play as part of the course, and I actually have a direct example of how that helped me. So someone in my team was actually off on holiday, and I often answer the phone, and they were asking for help, and I was in a bit of panic, but actually I remembered, no, we've got this knowledge base, I can do this. And I think for me, this course helped to instill that confidence that yes, I can do things, I can help the people that are using our software. Second of all, the ways of working. I mentioned earlier, there's so many different things, agile and waterfall. And if you can really understand how a workplace operates, then it puts you in really good stead when you're going for your interviews, and how you can explain that you understand things like the Kanban boards and things like that. So again, really good knowledge there. And then upskilling on testing. Of course, I can already do some basic testing, but learning other frameworks has been really, really useful, and also for some of my personal projects. And the course also homes in on like the benefits and some of the cons of manual and automated testing. So 2 different areas again that you could go into. And then finally, I believe this is a bit of a coming soon sort of thing, the talent pool that Metis are creating. So I'm obviously not looking right now for a new role, but I think it's amazing for people to know that after taking this course, they could be matched up with potential employers who already understand the value of the course and already know what skills you can bring to the team because you've taken this. So yeah, my experience was very, very positive. I wouldn't hesitate to offer it to recommend it to anyone else, and especially to graduates. I know my own sister has also passed this course, and it has helped her massively in her job search. So again, yeah, I can't recommend it enough. I'm actually going to pass back to Maya now to talk a little bit more about this. But thank you so much for having me. If you do want to reach out and talk a bit more, I'm on these channels that you can see on the screen, and I really do hope to hear from you soon.